What exactly does Miles Morales' symbiote look like, and in what universe has the symbiote taken control of him? The symbiote has collected a wide roster of different hosts and subjects over its years in the Marvel Comics. Not only has it corrupted Peter Parker, but several of his closest friends and deepest sworn enemies. One close friend of Peter that doesn't seem to have ever been bonded with the symbiote is Miles Morales, one of the only other people in the world that understands Peter on a Spider-Man level. Across the multiverse, however, anything is possible, and in several universes, Miles has in fact bonded with several symbiotes. So today, my friends, we are going to discuss and break down the stories of one of Miles' most terrifying symbiote bonds. Let's focus specifically on Earth TRN-891, where Miles begins his life very similarly to his Earth 1610 counterpart. What's important to mention briefly is that the term TRN stands for Temporary Reality Number, and it's a designation provided by the fanbase until Marvel provides an official designation. This reality has not been explicitly labeled by Marvel as of yet, and if it ever is given a proper number, then this TRN will be discarded in favor of the official universe. In this world, Miles was tasked with shutting down a powerful machine known as the Unmaker, whose danger was so potent that it caused Miles' spider sense to cause him pain. As the machine began to unravel his world, he tried to save as many civilians as possible, and he, alongside the Scarlet Witch, Vision, and the Invisible Woman, as well as the Thing and Doctor Strange, were able to shut off the device. Their solution, however, ravaged their world in order to save it. In order to do so, Strange opened a portal to a neighboring reality and unleashed an EMP blast capable of shutting down even the Unmaker, but not without dire consequences to the rest of the planet. This ruptured all of the technology on Miles' Earth and set his population back by years. It caused tremendous loss of life, and Miles was among the few survivors who helped to slowly rebuild society, but at least this Earth was still alive. Doctor Strange understood that this was the price of saving this reality, and on this Earth, this period of time is regarded as their Dark Ages. Although Strange died in the process, he was able to save some of his world, Miles included. After this calamity though, Miles devoted himself to the reconstruction process, where he eventually came across the Venom symbiote, subsequently deciding to bond with the creature the same way that Peter had. The two formed a partnership that helped to rebuild the ruins of their Earth, as they were able to use their combined strength to do their part to help get the world back on track. At first, several of the powers of Miles and traits seemed to be consistent with Peter's experience, with Miles becoming stronger and less worried about holding back. But his universe put a much deeper focus on rebuilding the ravaged Earth than fighting crime, so his violence wasn't on display as clearly as Peter's. During this bonding time though, Miles and his symbiote took a turn that Peter seems to have never encountered. Here, Miles was forcibly bonded with the Carnage symbiote at the same time, and the Carnage symbiote actively layered itself on top of not just Miles, but Venom as well. While we've seen combinations of symbiotes melding together before, such as Hybrid for example, this is different for a few reasons. With Hybrid, the four symbiotes in question blended into one entity in order to survive, and parts of each were maintained. In this case though, Carnage infected and overtook Venom, and the two had a very distinct power hierarchy. What this meant for Miles was that he had to handle two symbiotes at once, and the Carnage symbiote actually ended up corrupting Venom as well. Miles was already beginning to see the effects of the Venom symbiote, but he hadn't gotten past the point of no return. With the addition of Carnage though, Miles was completely powerless to do anything at all. Together, Venom and Carnage had complete control over Spider-Man and Miles, and there was nothing he could do to free himself from the clutches of not just one, but two powerful symbiotes. The two creatures had learned, however, that Strange's solution may have been temporary and that they needed to fix it. The Unmaker was awakening once again, and if it was left to completely reignite, then there may not be enough heroes left on Earth that could stop it. Strange himself, along with several other heroes, were already dead, and the organizations that were left were in ruin and unable to fight back. The Unmaker was originally created 10 billion years ago to stop the forces of entropy by destroying black holes across the galaxy. After being corrupted though, the Unmaker began to turn its attention away from just black holes, and it started inadvertently targeting entire galaxies. Some of these galaxies had only just been formed, and this devastation was wide enough that it called the attention of the Living Tribunal. After learning of the malfunction, the Tribunal tribunal deactivated the Unmaker and hid it away in the core of a newly developed world which would later become Earth. What this means though is that the Unmaker is a galactic level threat, and if it's ever unleashed, there might not be anything that anyone on this Earth could do. The symbiotes, however, knew this and decided to turn to the mutant Apocalypse for help, believing he was the only individual that could stop the Unmaker. They offered to trade their services for a spaceship to get them off-world and away from its imminent destruction. Their first task was to track Quicksilver back to a colony of survivors, whom he had just warned about Apocalypse's activities, and so the symbiotes, with Miles in tow, headed off to Europe, with Apocalypse promising them passage off of Earth. Here, Miles attacked the survivors, but a few of them had the means to fight back. Pepper Potts was able to burn away the symbiotes, and Storm was able to subsequently disintegrate them with her lightning. While he was under the influence of the symbiotes, however, Miles demonstrated a blend of abilities between the two creatures, and they were even able to work in tandem with one another at peace. This was in part due to Carnage's influence over Venom, as it was revealed that Carnage could bond to another symbiote, which is very uncommon across the Marvel Universe. The two of them together simply put Miles on autopilot, and is another instance in the comics where we see a hero completely stripped of free will. When Peter bonded with Venom, he became more violent and aggressive, but the actions were still his own, and he was the one who needed to answer for them. The symbiote affected his mood and perceptions of the world, but Peter was still conscious most of the time and could steer his decisions. In this case, Miles, however, was blindfolded, hogtied, and thrown into the basement while the symbiotes took control of his body. We know that the symbiote can pilot a host's body, but this is usually a slow burn that the symbiote only does after sinking its claws into the host for a long period of time. When Miles was freed from the symbiote, however, he and the remaining heroes confronted Apocalypse and his plan to take control of the Unmaker for himself. While he didn't have any control, he was still conscious and watching everything that he did without any control of his body, leaving Miles infuriated. When they arrived in Paris on Miles's intel, they were able to turn Dracula against Apocalypse. Dracula, who had been one of his henchmen, decided to vampirize Apocalypse and made him vulnerable to vampire weaknesses. From here, Blade made short work of both of them, and the remaining heroes of Earth were able to stop the Unmaker, once again from ravaging their world completely. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of Earth 891? Do you think Miles will ever encounter the symbiote in the future of either the Insomniac games or the Spider-Verse universe? What are your thoughts on this reality where Miles encountered not just Venom, but Carnage as well? And can you think of any other instance where several symbiotes are layered on top of one another? Thank you so much, my friends, for stopping by the channel today. Hit that subscribe button to assemble, and have a great day.